Good day, my name is Huang. In this video, I am going to explain how to make crystal from table salt. Before making the crystal, we need to understand what is crystal. A crystal is a solid that is made out of repetitions of group of atoms. We call this group of atoms unique cell. You can think of this unique cell as the building block of a giant object. These building blocks can arrange themselves in different ways to give crystal of different properties. If the arrangement of the unique cell in solid is well organized and regular, we obtain crystalline crystal. This crystal has a clearly defined melting point. Table salt in daily consumption is a good example of crystalline crystal. On the other hand, if the arrangement of unique cell is non-regular, we obtain a non-crystalline crystal, which also called amorphous solid. The example of this solid is glass. Because of the lack of regular arrangement, glass can be shaped into many different dimensions. How to turn salt into crystal? To answer this question, we need to first understand the solid properties of salt. Salt is an ionic compound that consists of one sodium ion and one chloride ion, and they are held together by a strong ionic bond. The ionic bond between sodium positive ion and chloride negative ion is electrostatic attraction force between two charges of different flavors. However, there is repulsion between ions because of electron density of each ion. The force of repulsion becomes stronger as the separation between the ions getting smaller. So, the sodium ions and chloride ion are next to each other by a small separation where the attractive and repulsive force are balanced. These ions form the building block of sodium chloride crystal. The building block has a face-centered cubic structure. Each ion in this building block has 12 nearest neighbors. Each chloride ion in the structures is surrounded by 6 sodium ions and 6 other chloride ions with the shortest distance, and the same happens to the sodium ion. By looking at the structure here, we might have a question. Isn't that the salt supposed to look like a big crystal with cubic shape? The answer is yes, but the table salt in convenience store have been crushed into fine salt for better solubility. So, the goal of our experiment is to turn salt into crystal. How could we make this happen? The ions are confined in their own position in the solid. They can only vibrate at a fixed position. So we need to dissolve the table salt in hot water to turn these ions into free mobile ions. When water is added to the salt, the ions interact with the water molecule, which is a polar molecule, and weaken the ionic bond between the ions. The choice of hot waters enables the ions to vibrate more vigorously and eventually break free from each other. As the ions are free to move now, there is a chance that the sodium ions encounters chloride ion in the solution, and the ionic bond reforms as the solution cools down. As more and more sodium and chloride ions bump into each other at the same site, a visible salt crystal will form in the end. To run the experiment, we need to prepare kettle, jar lid, a glass jar, container, tissue paper, and of course, salt. First, prepare the hot boiling water using kettle, and pour the hot waters into a glass jar. Add table salt to the hot waters and stir the solution. Keep adding the table salt to the hot waters until a saturated solution is formed, and seal the jar and leave it aside for a day to let the solution to stabilize. After obtaining a stabilized saturated salt solution, filter the solution with filter paper or tissue paper. Now we are ready to grow our crystal. Carefully pour the salt solution to a jar lid and keep the jar lid in a container to prevent the salt solution from contamination. It may take 2 or 3 days for the crystal to grow to a noticeable size. Here are the crystals I collect from my experiment. The growing rate of crystal might depend on many environmental factors such as surrounding temperatures, humidity, and pressure. In general, the rate of crystallization is higher at lower temperature because the ions lose thermal energy to the surrounding and therefore facilitate the formation of the ionic bond. It may take at least a month for the crystal to grow to a dimensions of 1 cm. So just leave your crystal to continue growing in the jar lid and wait patiently.